how you doing? It's the FOX6 Sports. What you see, Lily Zhao. Vibrant this evening. Tim Van Horn, Brandon Cruz. We're glad you're here as well. We're coming in like a lion. I'm not sure about the local sports teams. They may be lambs, but here we go to get March going. Here's our starting lineup. One of the biggest weeks of the NFL year is in the books. Scouts, general managers, coaches, draft prospects all make their presence known in Indianapolis. They're hot, and then they're not. We check in on the Cactus Crew in spring training. Doc Rivers makes us say what, but the Bucs' latest outing is intolerable. And this week's high school hotshot views the sky as no limit.
Look, all of it's important. I mean, all of it's important. If it wasn't, we wouldn't be here.
John Eric Sullivan, late of the Packers front office, now leading the Miami Dolphins. He's such a good communicator. You can see why he did well in those interviews when he was around the GM circuit, because he just kind of grabs the room there. And he tells you why the NFL decision makers are in Indianapolis this week, because it's all part of the process and it's all important. Lily, let me lead off with you. A GM is evaluated on many levels, but for me, his draft performance is always what's going to stick out number one on the resume. That's how people view that person. And the scouting comment is part of the draft process.
It is. That's where you kind of get your first look at these prospects who want to be future NFL stars. You get a chance to interview the players as well, get to see what they can do on the field. But it's a really big week for those prospects to really convince a team why they should draft them and come in late April. And so this is a big week of evaluation for the Green Bay Packers, especially the draft and develop mentality that they have has really rung true under Ted Thompson and now Brian Gutekunst. So now it is, all right, we have a board of the guys that we need. Now let's see kind of which players really fit in our room. And Tim, you were there talking with Brian Gutekunst. I mean, this is a big week for him. But again, he's been doing this for a very long time.
He loves it, to be honest with you. As a general manager, he came up as a scout. He likes this whole process. You see him here meeting with the media. That's part of it, and particularly when Coach Matt LaFleur does not go to the combine, which is the way LaFleur handles it. He's the only representation for the team who speaks with the media. So we do hear a lot from Brian Gutekunst over the course of the week. But Brandon, even without a first-round draft choice, there's a lot to be done for a guy like Gutekunst this week.
I'd say even more so. I mean, because you're trying to make such an impact without having a first-round pick at this point. So you're trying to find those guys that you can steal in the second, third, fourth rounds where they might still make an impact. And part of that process is having the one-on-one interviews with the players. I mean, they're going to scout them all season long through college and know what they're doing on the field. But then this is where they have that time to really kind of get to know maybe a little something unique about the player and why he may stand out in a draft pick when he's equal level with another player. And I think that's probably why he has so much fun at this event, is he's able to have those interactions.
If you're one of the top 300 prospects invited, you're already a good player. So what separates you from somebody else? Jeff Hafley used to work for Gutekunst in the Packers. Now he's the coach of the Dolphins. As a first-year coach, how long do you think it takes to kind of figure out what's going on? There's a lot of learning on the fly.
I think next year ask him at this event if he's there, because it's going to be a whole year. I mean, he's got to do all these things for a first time. And even though he's been a head coach in college, and even though he's been a defensive coordinator in the NFL, this is that first NFL head coaching job where things are so much more different than anything he's done before. I think it's good for him that he's going in with John Eric Sullivan, because they know each other from their time with the Packers. And the fact that he has come from the Packers organization, he kind of has an idea of how he likes things done. Maybe it's different than what they do in Green Bay, but he was able to learn from the process of the Packers, and now he's trying to implement that in Miami. So to me, it's all first steps and all learning, but he does at least have an educated guess as to how to go about it.
And we heard from John Eric Sullivan here at the outset of this segment, and he and Jeff Hafley both this week in Indy talked about alignment, and Brandon talked about it. They're coming in together at the start of their careers together. This is really going to be the direction that these guys go. John Eric Sullivan right here as the general manager of the Dolphins. The biggest news of the week, though, Lily, for the Packers is the hiring of a special teams coordinator, Cam Acord. experience with the Patriots and for the last couple of seasons with the New York Giants.
Yeah, he's got a big role to fill and really do well in, right? Again, this is a special teams unit that has been much maligned in Green Bay for a decade, and it's going to be his responsibility to figure out how do we make this Packers special teams unit an asset for this football team. They cost him a lot of games last year, so let's figure out the kicking situation. Can we figure out the return unit? He's worked with some all-pro punt returners, so can he kind of get that figured out in Green Bay? So a lot riding on Acor's shoulders to really turn this unit around next year.
There were several candidates brought to Green Bay this week for in-person interviews with Matt LaFleur. Acor is the choice. Blessing and a curse. Congratulations, Cam.
Well, the funny thing is, though, you can tell that, we just talked about how you have the conversation with the players at the scouting combine. It was that conversation he had with Matt LaFleur that obviously really had an impact where Matt said, okay, this is my guy.
Yeah, here's my guy. All right, we're going from Packers to Brewers. With that season rapidly approaching, we make the flip behind us. We're kind of making the flip mentally. Tyler Black is, he's been a name on the list for the Brewers in terms of prospects. Hasn't done it at the big league level. He's hot so far in the spring. Where is he on the pecking order?
I think he's really fighting to try to find a spot. It's going to be an uphill climb no matter how good his spring is. But at 8 for 12 this spring and just on fire, I mean, you can't do much more than that. I mean, you can only take advantage of the opportunities you have. And for him right now, he is seeing the ball very well. The problem for him, too many guys in front of him that have proven their ability in the big leagues. And secondly, when you look at what he's done at the big league level, it hasn't been a lot. Now, he does get called up every once in a while to fill in for injuries or what have you, but he has not made that major league boom yet with he's been called up.
He's going to have to force himself into the picture,
right.
And maybe with this hot bat so far, he's doing all he can, as you said, Brandon. Garrett Mitchell has kind of been a forgotten man in discussions about the Brewers' outfield. This was a first-round draft choice who was an impact player before he started going through all these injuries. Where's he in the pecking order?
I think he's pretty high. I think once he gets out there and is fully healthy and is able to play, I mean, this is going to be a guy that has really no ceiling this season, I believe. I mean, Garrett Mitchell's still a really talented player, but it's just those pesky shoulder injuries that have really gotten him the last 2 years. I know it's been demoralizing. It's, really tough to rehab, come back, re-injure, rehab, and just make your way back on the roster. But I think this is a kid that is going to be doing really well. But I think for him, it's a combination of, all right, it's the mental aspect of it. I want to be aggressive. I want to still play the way I play, especially defensively and on the bases, but I have to be smart about it to not re-injure my body and especially that shoulder.
Yeah, you fear when he's diving back to first base or going out for a play, major league level or minor league on the rehab. It's just really he's been snake bit, no question about it. Fox is going to have a lot of World Baseball Classic baseball coming up in the next several weeks, Brandon. You were with the Brewers in spring training before some of these guys left. Who do you want to talk about who's heading off to the WBC?
Well, let's talk about Bryce Strang first, because he, just like Tyler Black, is seeing the ball as well as anybody at this moment in time. And for him to go to play for Team USA, it's a dream come true. I mean, this is an opportunity that very few guys get, and he's going to be playing second base for Team USA. We know how good he is defensively, but so far this spring, he says he's seen the ball as well as he ever has, and that's a great sign right now going into this. And I think it helps the Brewers in the sense that he gets to be in some competitive moments that really matter, at least for that tournament, as they get closer to the regular season. Cactus League games aren't as intense. The WBC will have intensity, and I think that always elevates a guy's game.
And for folks who haven't watched it, you're going to have the exposure to it. There is a lot of passion there. There is a lot of intensity there. It's something that you can't help but watch, particularly as you get deeper into that tournament. Pat Murphy talked about the deep run into the postseason, Lily, has a lot of these guys kind of recovering and resting and getting ready for the start of a long season this year. Brandon Woodruff wasn't healthy for that, but he's still in recovery mode too.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are wondering, could he be the opening day starter? It seems just like from his recent comments that might not be the case. But again, this is a pitcher that wants to be healthy at the end of the season, not necessarily the beginning of the season. So again, really still going through the rehab. He just wants to get back when he is 100% fully healthy and ready to help the team. So I don't blame him for just taking some extra time here during really spring training in the early part of the season to really make sure he is right. So he's here for the duration.
Last year's opening day, main man Freddie Peralta will be the opening day starter for the Mets. That's already been announced. You were, again, with these guys in Arizona. What was your vibe about Woodruff?
It's a lot of reverence. I mean, all the young guys really look to him as a leader, even if he's not on the field. But he seems to be fine in terms of his health. He's just taking it as a process. Today, he had a simulated game on the field. But we will see him get into these Cactus League games, and he will pitch. I can almost guarantee we will see him when the season gets going. Not necessarily opening day. We'll find out about that as we get closer, but we will see him much earlier than we have recently.
A lot expected of him this year as a pitcher and certainly as a leader as well. We're going to bounce at the basketball in just a moment. That's Bucks, that's college. And say what? It's the Fox 6 Sports Blitz rolling on.
This is my crew right here.
I'm assuming that's who you're talking about.
I don't know about you, but I feel pretty good about it.
But we'll stop there.
Quarter zips are so comfortable. You know, they're so easy to wear. I will say this, and I've brought this up to someone that's going to go through the chain. I do think it wouldn't be a bad idea doing playoffs. I would be in favor of that one. Other than I would have to start working out again because none of my suits would fit anymore.
Doc, dressed to the nines in his quarter zip. Now, I'm much more of a quarter zip guy than a suit guy. So I'm going to lean with him on this
we
one.
know you work hard in either outfit.
Well, speaking of Doc, his team today, Lily, I don't think they want to remember this game because something went bad that I don't remember seeing in an NBA game in quite a long time.
Yeah, I would say their performance to close out this game was simply abysmal. I mean, you're facing a Chicago Bulls team that went 0 for 11 in the month of February. They didn't win last month, guys. And guess what? They bullied Milwaukee. The Bucks just couldn't catch a break. They couldn't make a shot. Over 10 minutes, they went scoreless from the field. And that is something you cannot have happen against a team like the Bulls. And so, Chicago went on a 27-0 run in the fourth quarter and closed out Milwaukee, and that just was a performance they do not want to remember.
Is this on Doc when a team isn't performing like that, or is this strictly on the players?
To me, it's the day. I mean, you're just shooting this poorly. What other button can you push in a situation like this? Remarkable. I was watching the replay of the game, and they're in complete control. And then it just flips against, as you said, Lily, a mediocre team. And I think you take it back to Friday night too, Brent. It's just ragged play from this team far too often.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you. They did not play well against the Knicks on Friday, but they had gone into that game winning 8 of their last 10 and maybe on the upswing. Now it doesn't look like that.
Well, and they couldn't stop the Knicks, who got out to that big start, and then they just kept shooting it lights out all night long. And granted, the Knicks were rested and ready and all that stuff, but they just outclassed the Bucks.
Lily, is there any chance of this team getting into that play-in game? I know mathematically they're right there. But with what we've seen Friday night and with what we've seen today, is there any chance of them really getting there or doing anything?
It's hard to tell. Again, they go on a run here. We think that they can make do of a manageable schedule, and they play like this against Chicago. So it's hard to tell. Listen, they're in striking distance right now, so never say never. But the way the Bucks are playing, they can lose to anybody on any given night, and it's hard for them to hang with the best teams in the East. So it's going to be hard, but there's a chance, but I'm not going to say a high one.
Then where is the positive with this team right now?
Giannis coming back and maybe trying to salvage something, but at the end of the day, how much do you want Giannis to come back and how much can you salvage? So that's a little bit of a sliver of hope there, but it's not looking good.
All right, let's shift gears to the college level and the Badgers, who are looking to try to move up in the Big Ten race as they try to get a higher seed in the Big Ten tournament. They looked great in Washington this week, like they could shoot from the Puget Sound and still make it.
Yeah, they had everything rolling against Washington, and that was terrific, particularly on the heels of a game where they just didn't have anything going offensively. The Badgers can look very good. When they're making their shots, they look very good. You get a guy off the bench who's going to pump in 9 3-pointers, you're going to look very good, and you're going to get a lot of points doing that.
Why did they not look good in the game before that down the road in Oregon against a lowly Ducks team?
Yeah, they just got killed in the paint. They couldn't make shots. They were turning the ball over and just wasn't really Wisconsin basketball. And it just is hard to tell because Wisconsin really can beat some of the best teams in the country like we've seen, but they can also lose to some teams that are some head scratchers. So it's just a bad night for Wisconsin, but a nice way that they rebounded against Washington.
So do you think, Tim, that they could really make a run in the Big Ten tournament and get some momentum to the NCAA tournament?
I think that's possible. I think whatever happens in the Big Ten tournament does not necessarily predict what happens in the NCAA tournament for this team. I don't think there are predictors with this team. They had that great stretch against Michigan and Illinois, and then boom, it's a clunker. Now, they're not good against Oregon. Yes, they are good against Washington. I think really any night out, anything could happen.
The big thing about Marquette right now was honoring a former player. And when Marcus Howard comes back and sees his jersey go to the rafters, what does that mean to this program to have him back as they are struggling through their season?
Yeah, I think it means a lot. I mean, you look at a guy and what he's meant to this team. Again, a guy that was there for 4 years, right? Really different from how it is nowadays in the college basketball landscape. But what he was able to do on the court in terms of being, the guy who's made the most points in program history. He joined some really historic names, Tom Crean, Dwayne Wade, all of the above, and joining them in the rafters. But I think it's just, an example of what a player can be if they stayed Marquette.
UWM wins senior night. They go to the Horizon League tournament. Silver lining for the season?
Yeah, I think so. Winning that game is a little bit helpful. You go in the Horizon League, you have a chance. They have known since very early in the season it was going to be an uphill battle all the way this year.
They play on Wednesday. Well, Con Knippel reached yet another milestone during this remarkable rookie season in Charlotte. The Milwaukee native broke Keegan Murray's NBA rookie record for three-pointers. He had his 207th on Thursday night. That broke the record in just 59 games. Wow. Well, when we come back, we'll introduce you to another high school hotshot.
Welcome back. He could drone on and on about all of his athletic involvements, but a recent achievement has him flying high with excitement. That's why he's this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
Hi, my name is Brooks Jackson. I'm a junior here at Racine Horlick. I'm a multi-sport athlete in the Aviation Academy. So I'm involved in varsity football, varsity soccer, varsity basketball, varsity golf, and varsity tennis here at Horlick. 2 in the fall, 1 in the winter, and then 2 in the springtime. I'd say my favorite for sure is probably kicking for football, but I also do love soccer. Well, obviously I've progressed a lot in the past 2 years, going from kicking 35, 40 yards to now doing 65-plus yard kickoffs and hitting a 60-yard field goal during warm-ups. I'm part of the academies of Racine Horlick, also in the North Star Academy. So the North Star Academy consists of aviation, tech ed, along with construction, and I believe business. The path I've been on, well, number one was going to get my drone pilot's license, which I'm really glad I actually accomplished. I've always been interested in mechanics because I really like doing hands-on stuff. Learning that I can either go to the Air Force or I can work with Delta Hawk and just do aviation mechanics, like just tear apart engines and just put them back together, learn everything inside out. It's really sparked my curiosity about it. So every kid here in third year is gonna learn how to fly a drone and how drones are used. So the process of getting your Part 107 license, it was grueling. You had to work for it. Every single day, you were taking a 60-question test and just studying. I used to think that aviation was just, the people that had the runway sticks and they were just moving planes. But I've gotten so much in-depth knowledge about it. Using this license can actually set me up on a path for life. Like if I don't want to get into the aviation mechanics industry, I do want to try to do drone flying on the side, whether that's for the police task force, whether that's for landscaping companies. This license can really set you up. Hi, my name is Brooks Jackson. I'm a junior here at Racine Horlick High School, and I'm a licensed drone pilot. And I'm this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
Man, well, Brooks, you're going to give our photographers here a run for their money. Meanwhile, Brooks' aviation class had 9 students receive their drone pilot's license. That's the most since the program began a couple years ago. Pretty impressive. Meanwhile, the WIAA state individual wrestling finals wrapped up in Madison last night. Multiple local wrestlers took home a state title. It's including a former Fox 6 high school hotshot, Brown Deer's Maximus Hay. The senior captures his first state title in the Division I finals at 126 pounds, hugging his dad Cedric there. Meanwhile, Oconomowoc Kellen Wolbert joins some storied history. He dominates the 150-pound state title in Division I to become a 4-time state champ. Congratulations to all our local winners on the mats. We'll be right back.
Upcoming for the Bucks, a 5-game homestand starts with the Celtics early tip time, 6:30 tomorrow night.
Big week in college hoops. We get near the tournament. UW Milwaukee is in their tournament against Detroit. That's the first round on Wednesday. On Saturday, both Marquette and Wisconsin wrap up their regular season. The Golden Eagles host UConn. The Badgers travel to Purdue.
Meanwhile, the Brewers get Monday and Tuesday off. They're going to keep playing Cactus League games on Wednesday against the Cubs. Again, they're playing all week.
And the Admirals on a long homestand of their own. They're hosting the Wolves Tuesday before hosting the Barracuda, singular, Back-to-back games. Barracuda.
Barracuda.
All right. For Brandon, Lily, and Tim, see you next week. One of us will.